Live from our studios here at Kukumlemle in Accra, this is Joy News Prime. I am Emefa Apau. In the next hour, as the clock ticks for the NPP Super Delegates Conference tomorrow, NPP flagbearer aspirants crisscross the country, jostling for last-minute votes in order to stay in the top 5. We'll touch base with the various camps.
Alan has served. He has paid his dues, and the delegates are going to reward him because they say it. Come November 4th, he's the grassroots leader.
Wait to see the results tomorrow evening. Then you now say, this boy knew what he was talking about.
Okay.
Plus, live from the NPP quarters here in Accra, we are also in Kumasi, where the highest number of super delegates will cast their ballots. And also, Political Desk prepares to kickstart coverage with your election eve right here on the Joy News channel. You want to stay for details as Evans Mensah and Winston Amwa prepares to take over at the top of the hour 8. Much later, government and the independent power producers agree on a $43 million payment monthly, but that will only cover electricity produced and consumed by the state.
We've negotiated with them. We've agreed to some monthly payments, and in every month, about $43 million shared amongst them for energy supply, for energy consumed.
Also, you can choose to believe in witchcraft but do not endanger others. Shroud Commissioner Joseph Whittal cautions people who accuse and attack people of being witches.
Incumbent upon all of us to know how we speak, how we take advantage of poor elderly women, stigmatizing them because.
And later, is he a ranter or someone passionate about his job?
Can anybody do this? It's madness! It's madness! Those who do not know what is happening here should keep quiet. There are a lot of corrupt people, there are a lot of thieves.
We'll focus on the Roads and Highways Minister, Kwesi Amwakwata. We're live on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all social media platforms. We are on myjoyonline.com, DSTV channel 421, GoTV 125. Do stay with us for details.
Joy News Prime Headlines was brought to you by
And this is your election headquarters. Tonight, all flag-bearer aspirants are engaged in last-minute meetings with delegates, feverishly wooing them to be in the top 5. 955 delegates are expected to cast their ballots in 17 voting centers across the country, with the EC entrusted with the responsibility to conduct this particular elections. I'm talking about the NPP Super Delegates Congress. Aspirants have only a few hours to wrap up. I'm sure it's done by now. And at 8, at the top of the hour 8, we'll be bringing you election eve. All that you need to know in terms of the data, the figures, and how it's going to look like. We'll also touch base with the various camps shortly. But first, let me take you live to Kumasi, where we know that 119 out of the 955 delegates will be voting to choose who makes it to the top 5. My colleagues Nana Yaojima and Nana Buachi Dankwa are standing by at the polling center for this particular elections in the Ashanti region. Gentlemen, what's the situation where you are now? Let's head live to them once again. Nana Buachi and Nana Yaojima, if you can hear me, give us the situation.
Multimedia group in Kumasi. Earlier, we were at the election grounds trying to bring you live updates from the grounds. Unfortunately, we are learning, or when we got there, the information that we had is that the NPP will do its setup. We'll do its setup tomorrow morning. This evening there's another event. So after the event, we'll have the organizers of the event, the NPP event, coming in to set up the grounds for the particular event. So at the moment, campus, KNUST campus, the law faculty to be precise, where the event will be happening, is very calm. There is another event ongoing at the moment at the auditorium. Immediately after that event, immediately they pack out. The information we have is that a team dispatched by the NPP from the Ashanti region will go in there and also set up the grounds for the election. Now, when you come to Kumasi, the grounds or the whole of Kumasi is very calm. It doesn't look like there's a major event going on in Kumasi. You get sense of the election only when you either visit the KNUST campus grounds or you listen to the various media houses where the discussions continue on air about the possible candidates who will make it to the top 5 of the election tomorrow. Today, we've been listening to the various electorates. They're expecting a very calm atmosphere tomorrow. They're expecting 119 delegates to all walk in on time and ensure that they cast their ballot on time, and by 2 o'clock the ballots will be counted and the Ashanti region will elect the 5 who will go ahead and be part of the delegates conference itself. Now as you may know, about 7 of these aspirants who have put themselves up for the election tomorrow are from the Ashanti region, and the team here did a lot of work on them when they were in their region for their various campaigns. Before that, we'll go to my colleague Nawachi Yadom, who is with me and has been doing a lot of research about the 119 electorates who are supposed to cast their ballots tomorrow. So he'll give us a breakdown of the number. Nana, take over.
All right, so Nana, just as you said, we have 7 aspirants among the 10 from the Ashanti region. Pardon me to give you their names. Alan Kojoche Martin, who is the former trades minister from Ejoso here, and Boachi Jakon, and we have Honorable Kwabne Japon Efriya Kutu, the former member of parliament for Kwadaso, and then former agric minister. We have Kojo Poku and then Francis Adey Nimo, all from the Ashanti region, and they will be sharing the votes of 119 super delegate voters who will be casting their votes tomorrow. So the breakdown will be, we have regional executives, 17 regional executives who will be participating, and then there are 3 proxies. We have national council representatives, 6 of them will be joining the election, and then founding members 7 with 1 proxy. Constituency chairman, we have 46 and 1 proxy as well. We have all 42 members of parliament with 3 proxies, and then regional minister, that's Honorable Simon Osemensa, and the only one amongst them who adds up to the number 119 who will be participating in tomorrow's super delegate conference of the new Patriotic Party. As you said earlier, 7 out of the 10 aspirants for the slots are from the Ashanti region. Exactly. They all came down to the region to campaign, and you followed some of the campaigns. Can you give us a brief about these campaigns and how the region, accepted these electorates when they were going around? All right, so Ashanti region with the highest number of delegates, and I think it was full of energy. It was so energetic for these aspirants who came in. I joined Vice President Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia. I joined former Trades Minister Alan Kojoche Martin and Kwabne Japon, who was here just last week. And for Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, the endorsement he had from constituency chairman and constituency council of elders, from some members of parliament in the region was so much for him. And Honorable Alan Kojoche Martin also came in with a number of members of parliament. He came in with Honorable the Volta Region Minister Hohoi member of parliament, and then the minister for railways, and he came in with former minister for tourism Catherine Afeku, and some other members of parliament joined him also. And so for the campaign, it was full of joy for all the aspirants who came into the Ashanti region, the region with the highest number of delegates across the country. Nana, you spoke to some of them, some of these some of the candidates who will be standing for, who will be trying to get votes of these electors tomorrow. What was the message that they gave these electorates when they came to the Ashanti region? All right, so for Honorable Alan Kojoche Martin, he says he is from the Ashanti region. This is where he comes from, and then for him, he's the only candidate amongst the 10 who can gain 2 million votes for the new Patriotic Party. It would all be about the numbers for the party, who is going to get more votes for the NPP to break the 8 as they claim. So for Honorable Alan Kojoche Martin, he's the only candidate amongst all 10 aspirants who can gain 2 million votes from the Ashanti region, add up to the numbers they will be getting from other regions to make a win for the new Patriotic Party and make it possible for them to break the 8. For Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, it has been about his work for the party. It has been about what he has done for the new Patriotic Party. It has been about his sacrifice to the party, his loyalty to the Akufo-Addo government, and therefore making him the right candidate to lead the party come November 4th and also subsequently become the President of the Republic of Ghana. So for Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, he's been touting as his achievements as Vice President. Alan Kojo-Kyerematen, former Trades Minister, has also made claims of being the only candidate who can derive some 2 million votes from the Ashanti region and possibly gain votes from the Volta region as well.
So I had an exclusive interview with Kojo Poku Nsafwa, and according to Kojo Poku, his campaign has not been loud as the others. What he is doing actually is that he goes to the super delegates in every region, try and speak to them and convince them to cast their ballots in his favor. What he is saying is that all the other delegates, after the super delegates conference, he will try and meet the other delegates. That is if he should be able to make the 5. He was confident of getting a place in the top 5. So after that, he will come to the Ashanti region once again, try to meet all the other delegates and try and convince them to cast their ballots for him come when the delegates conference itself is on. So tomorrow we are expecting a keenly contested race in the Ashanti region, especially when 7 of these 10 people who will be aspiring to make it to the 5 are from the region. So tomorrow myself and Nana Boakye Yadom will join others at the KNUST campus, that's the law faculty to be precise, and see how things go for all the aspirants.
So that's my colleague Nanaya Ojima and Nana Boakye Yadom reporting from the Ashanti region, and they've been telling you that all seven candidates out of the 10 hail from that region, and 119 of these super delegates will be casting that vote for them. Reason why we've been focusing on the Ashanti region. Let me bring you back here to the Greater Accra region, and my colleague Maxwell Agbagba joins us live from the NPP headquarters, also a polling center, or a voting center I should say. Maxwell, what's the situation where you are?
Well, Amefa, the beehive of activity, we were told here earlier in the day, is conspicuously missing now. Now when you go there, all you can see are just tents erected, ready to provide shade for tomorrow's electoral exercise. The only people also here we've seen here are the security personnel here. We're told all the executives were here, national executives were here earlier in the day, but they left just about an hour ago, all in preparation for tomorrow. We are told that members of the National Council, we are told that people from the diaspora, all of them will be casting their ballots here today. But what usually, some people would expect that usually around this time, in expectations for tomorrow's event, you find party supporters around. That is not the case today. The people I've been speaking to tell me that all of them were here, many of them were here earlier in the day, but they've left and then gone home in preparation for tomorrow's electoral exercise. I have one woman here with me who was here earlier in the day. She's going to join me. Let's speak to her. Let's find out from her what her expectations are for tomorrow. Mommy and Pacho, your friend saying?
Your friend Fatih Karim.
Fatih Karim. Oh, okay. Me say what share NPP atade ni bibia what expectations for China then?
Omube vote. Yeah. Afa nipa ten omube tu so afa 5. Yeah. The obe win in our China ye dey be present. Enye no anu. Nti dey mbio na pese menka. Maybe say we a party member I will watch party atade ni nkika on. What expectations ne dey? Me do party anything na me share.
Oh, maybe so China vote number be no expectations ne dey. E dey na wo hwe nim say e be si e dey na.
Anything na me catch say me teach.
Okay, e dey sorry, kasa be na wote in grind. Be hana wo we ga. Mo mi to ma bibo ake what election say na ba fe. Meaning due expectations, meaning o town ni e ba happen tomorrow.
Meaning town ni happy tomorrow.
Meaning your expectations.
Na mon town ni win it cock meaning town happy. O we cook down.
Okay.
No obi an enye ma
je ganyo jim no keke.
No le enye ma je mo ko fa na je nyungo jimi.
Oh
no ada bin na mo ni ma.
Wow. I can't believe what just happened. Earlier, when we spoke to her, she told us that they cannot predict who is going to win the elections today, but they have high expectations ahead of tomorrow. They were telling us earlier that they want the process to be transparent, they want it to be free, and fair, and they are hoping that the elections would happen in that particular manner. They tell us that they cannot, as it stands right now, they cannot predict and cannot foretell the future. They cannot say who is likely going to win. They think that it is a tight race, and the names that have come up as we've been here for the past 30 minutes, we've had names like Alan Chemantin, we've had the Vice President's name also, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has also come up here. We've also had the name of Kennedy Japan also here. We've also had Adainimo also here. So really, many of the people who we met here earlier are tight-lipped. They do not want to disclose who their choices. They say that that is something that is left for the top officials of the party who are taking part in the special exercise to decide. But they have their favorite, and it is their wish that tomorrow their leaders, the top officers of the party, would vote for those who they wish, will lead the party come November. They said they are aware that this is just to prune down the number to 5, and the main thing is going to happen on November 5. But it is their wish that their candidates will make it to November 5 and finally get to lead the party in the 2024 national election. So MFI, really, if you come here, not much of activity happening here right now. We are told that everything will happen starting tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much. That's Maxwell Agbagba. Certainly a tough job there, interacting with some people. They are the NPP headquarters. Many thanks. And definitely there will be action there tomorrow. We'll bring you live action from the NPP headquarters, a voting center as well. But we've been interacting with some of the representatives of these candidates. We can first hear from Kojopoku, one of the aspirants in tomorrow's race. He's been interacting with my colleague Samuel Kojobrace on the AM show.
One thing I can tell you for sure, that Global Info Analytic, they sat in your room and did that survey. And look, everybody should take my word. Come tomorrow evening, those guys should not be allowed to publish anything in this country again. Really, I'm telling you. I'm saying this on joy. Global Info Analytics are just guys who just basically are paid guns to sit in your room and write whatever they want. Don't take my word for it. Let's wait till what happens tomorrow. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they have a voodoo where they can conjure things and it comes through. But I'm telling you that what they put out there is completely wrong. Look, there are margins of error in statistics, and they are way out of their margin of error. To look at what is going on the ground as we have it today and put those numbers as what you have done, brother, I'm sorry. I'm telling you.
So you are coming back from the ground.
Yes.
Let's understand how the picture is going.
Okay, so the picture is that, look, there isn't going to be a runaway winner. It's going to be a very competitive election tomorrow. People are discounting the reality on the ground, thinking that it doesn't matter. It does. The NPP party is in government, but there are people within the party that feel far away from government.
Okay.
So for people to think that all is well and they are going to see certain individuals get certain huge numbers because they are the most known or the most popular, well, like I said, tomorrow is 24 hours at most.
Yeah.
Let's wait and see.
That will be right only if indeed, like you said, they sat in the room and did it. But if they went to the ground,
they did not. I'm telling you, and I'm putting on record, they did not go to any ground. But you, don't take my word for it. Wait to see the results tomorrow evening.
That's Kojopoku there on the AM show earlier today. We can also hear from Madam Catherine Afeku interacting with my colleague Winston Amwa on Upfront.
The president himself vouching for Alan Chemantin. I want to single you out because every time we do campaign, you are the one who goes around the entire country with me. You know, it's difficult to find things to say about Alan Chemantin. When they have elections, those who are willing to stand in the gap, they show. The 10 people, tell me, where was the last time you saw Adainimo running around the country after election? Why not target him? Why Alan? It is because he has a message and he's cutting through. He's cutting through the everyday mumbo jumbo and letting people know that he's best poised to lead. When we finish elections, people travel. He was in Ethiopia working. The VIP was in Zimbabwe working. I went back to Kenya working. So is that an albatross? No. That in itself is an endorsement. So Winston, those utterances are not here or there. Alan has served. He has paid his dues, and the delegates are going to reward him because they say it. Come November 4th. He's the grassroots leader, and he will make sure that the legacy of President Akufo-Addo is intact, and he will build upon it. He will build upon it. He has absolutely no doubt. He has confidence in the delegates, God and the delegates, and he will get through by the grace of God.
That's for the Alan Kojoche Mantin camp. Catherine Afeku there on our front just yesterday with Winston Namwa. Let me bring in and go on to over the phone and bring in Samira, who is a leading member of the Vice President's team, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, and he joins us via phone. Thank you so much for your time here on Joy News Prime. So we've seen all the polls, many of it in favor of the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. So is it the case that the team is not really perturbed about tomorrow's votes, but rather looking ahead to November 4?
Well, good evening. Good evening, Emma. I think it's important that we get to understand the composition of tomorrow's electoral college. Tomorrow's electoral college consists of members of the National Council. The National Council is the second highest decision-making body of the new Patriotic Party. Again, tomorrow's vote consists of members of the National Council of Elders. These are the very people who are more or less experienced. They've been with our party's tradition. They've been through the mail, served at various levels of our party, and now they have retired into, more or less that category, where they advise the party on matters. They provide strategic guidance to management of the party and the base of the party. Again, you also have members who are founding members of the party, the foundation members of the party. And these are the people who signed the party's certificate, the very beginning of this party. You have past national officers of the party, risen through the ranks and the mail, and these are people who have served the party at the highest level. Then you have the party's members of parliament who represent the constituency across the country. You have constituency chairmen that represent the foot soldiers of our party, the polling stations, the electoral areas, and the constituency. They will be represented by their constituency chairmen. Again, you also have national executives of the party. You have 7 ministers of state when we are in government, like we are. And then you have the former president, the assistant vice president. Then you have external branches of the party also represented with 3 members. Each branch is represented by 3 members to cast a vote to provide direction for this party. And then, last but not the least, you also do have the social organs of our party, the youth wing, the Nasara, the women's wing. So I can tell you that tomorrow, the party is represented at every level in the ballot box. No candidate is expected to lead the party beyond November 4th if you are not able to at least make a significant showing and win tomorrow's polls. We are taking one election at a time. We are convinced that this party, at this point in our history, we are determined that we have sold our candidates' policies and programs. We have campaigned to the delegates across the country. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has interacted with 128,000 plus of the party's 205,000 delegates for November 4. He has interacted with the special delegates on 2 occasions within the last 3 months. And today he brought his campaign to a close by interacting with the diaspora or the external branch voters of our party. So tomorrow will be indicative of the direction the party wants to go. In 2014, candidate Akufo-Addo secured in excess of 83% of the vote to convince the party base that he is the man to lead our party to victory in 2016. And the party subsequently responded with the base giving him in excess of 94%. Tomorrow, we are confident that Team Bawumia will work very well. We respect each and every aspirant contesting and their supporters and their campaign team. We believe we have worked hard for victory. And we are confident that tomorrow's vote should be counted in our favor because of what we have been able to also achieve.
Are you looking out for particularly the margins, or it doesn't really matter once you're in the top 5?
We are not just looking at being part of the top 5. We are looking at possibly securing a landslide victory in tomorrow's poll. That should convince the base of our party that this is where we're going.
Yes, Amioku, we are grateful. We look forward to tomorrow, and we'll definitely get in touch with you and then also the other members of the other camps as well. That's Amioku, is a leading member of the Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia campaign team. We've been interacting with the Director of Research and Elections of the NPP, also Evans Nemako, and he's insisting that the party is committed to free and fair electoral process.
We are not aware of any campaign. The delegates for this special electoral college are senior members of this party. We are looking at members of parliament, we are looking at sector ministers, we are looking at regional ministers, we are looking at external branch delegates, wings delegates, National Council members, National Executive Committee members, founding members, National Council of Elders, who have the clout, the influence to put together all these delegates as a way of campaigning them to influence their voting pattern. At this point, we want us to look at the positives of the whole exercise. We've had a very, as I said, very constructive engagement with aspirants. We are hoping to have a very successful special electoral college. And so let's look at the positives and let's do away with those nuances that do not have any foundation.
Well, we'll definitely bring you Election Eve shortly with the team. You want to stay with us for details of that. And the spokesperson for the Overlord of the Wala traditional area, now Fuseni Pelpo IV, says the royal family has not endorsed any NPP flag-bearer aspirant. At a press conference held on Tuesday, a group calling themselves Royals from the 4 recognized gates of the Wala traditional area declared the 4 gates support for the vice president. Well, Joy News Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
On Tuesday, a group calling themselves the Royals on a B of the 4 recognized gates in the Wala traditional area held a press conference to endorse the candidature of Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia and 8 delegates taking part in Saturday's NPP Super Delegates Congress to vote massively for him. That press conference has, however, raised some red herrings in the One House Palace as another group of Royals has countered the press conference, stating the press conference was not sanctioned by the official mouthpiece of Royals in the Wala traditional area and therefore distance themselves from it. Mahamudu Bawumia speaks for the group.
This is so regrettable, condemnable by all standards. We wish to state that 1. Per our laws and practice by the Wala Traditional Council or Secretariat remains the only recognized highest decision-making body of the kingdom, which is made up of 4 royal gates, namely Yijihe, represented by Busana, Najer, represented by Krisina, Jonyohe, represented by Senna, Nakpaha Gate, represented by Gona, not that unofficial group.
The latest group, who claimed to be non-partisan, noted that the Overlord of the Wala traditional area, now Fuseni City People the 4th, has no knowledge and thus not sanctioned the press conference.
That's Rafiq Salam's report. Off to the Bono East region, and the secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party there, David Buachi, says all arrangements to ensure a smooth National Delegates Conference has been made.
The fierce race to decide who leads the New Patriotic Party in the 2024 presidential elections enters the home stretch as the party holds its Super Delegates Conference on Saturday to reduce the number of aspirants from 10 to 5. Here in the Bono East region, a total of 35 delegates are expected to cast their ballots at the Kokoko Social Center in Bamri, a suburb of Techiman. Regional Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, David Boachi, says all arrangements are set to ensure the exercise is held peacefully.
Bono East has 34 delegates, but 35 people are going in the region because we have had one transfer. That somebody has transferred the votes. In all, nationwide, we have 7 transfers. Ashanti had the highest of 3, then 4 other regions having 1 each. Bono East has 1. We do not have a proxy votes, but we have 1 transfer. So in all, we will be 35 people voting at Kokroko Social Center, Bamri, that is Techiman. National Council took a decision that all the elections must be held at the regional capitals. So ours is being held in Techiman here, Bamri Social Center. All arrangements are set. All our delegates so far are available.
He noted that the party is solely relying on the Ghana Police Service for security and no internal party security will be entertained.
Let me say this. We don't have arrangement for any internal security there. Completely, everything is for the police to take over. We are only 34. And the 1 person joining us to make us 35.
This is Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We're right back with more stories. Please do stay with us. You're welcome back. This is Joy News Prime, and tonight government and the independent power producers have agreed on a $43 million monthly payment to address the financial crisis threatening energy security in the country. This is, however, to cover only power generated and consumed by the state, as government insists it has no money to pay for the excess capacity. Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, tells my colleague George Riafe the IPPs have already accepted the offer.
That the threats by IPPs recently to shut down was addressed because they wanted to have a sustainable model of paying for the power they supply.
And that's been done.
We've negotiated with them. We've agreed to some monthly payments. And in every month, about $43 million shared amongst them for energy supply, for energy consumed, let me say, because you know that they have excess capacity. And so we have negotiated with them to pay for energy consumed, which means we are currently not paying for the excess that we do not consume. And that is what amounts to the $43 million shared amongst them. Because of this, we have had to remodel the cash waterfall mechanism. That is categorized into level A payments and level B payments. Level A payments is the payments we make to the IPPs. And as I speak to you, we have paid them twice since we agreed with them. In July, we paid $43 million. ECG has just paid for August $43 million 2-3 days ago. And that is going to continue. We want to be current.
Meanwhile, former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor says government's decision to pay only for energy use is not the best.
Well, I don't agree. Obviously, I don't agree. If government is incapacitated by financial constraints, that's a different argument. But in terms of contractual obligations, for example, if you say today that you are only paying for energy use, that is fine. In running any power system, there is a redundancy, a reserve capacity of between 18 to 20%, depending on the jurisdiction. So who pays for that redundancy, that reserve margin? It is that reserve margin that enables the system to run smoothly. So when one plant goes off and machines do go off, there is enough capacity to kick in. There's that redundancy. Are you saying that should not be paid for? Again, you're talking about excess capacity. I challenge anyone to produce the excess capacity that we have in 2023. Looked at some of the Energy Commission outcomes for 2022, and we will tell you that in 2022-2023, the idea of excess capacity is a myth. If we had excess capacity, why would ECG renew or sign 2 new agreements with AXA Energy? AXA's 5-year contract has lapsed. ECG has renewed that contract. There's also a new contract signed for Kumasi, for AXA to put up a plant in Kumasi. If we have excess capacity, why would this government go ahead and sign 2 new agreements? So please, when it comes to the energy space, emotions, propaganda, and others wouldn't take us far as a country.
Well, energy analyst Ishmael Ejikumihene says it will instill a lot more discipline in the ECG to collect its debts to pay the IPPs.
This wouldn't be new, except that ECG is actually guaranteeing that any new invoice that is issued will be paid for, and I think it's a good step going forward, because it will make ECG more disciplined. And once they are committed to that, the IPPs will be happy and everybody will be happy. There cannot be any other way, because you see, the truth of the matter is that the monies that the IPPs are supposed to be paid, you and I are already paying for it through the tariffs. Okay. The only problem here is that ECG is not able to collect enough. So whereas the PRs, you expect them to do 98% collection, any amount of energy they buy, they're supposed to bill and collect up to 98%. So anytime they do anything short of that, it means there's revenue shortfall. How come they're not able to pay the IPPs? Not as if the tariff doesn't cover the cost of the power. So for the power that is going to be produced, and that is part of the supply plan, the tariff has been provided. If ECG or if customers were to be paying, this arrangement wouldn't have been necessary.
Now, the Commissioner of Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Shraj, Joseph Whittal, has charged believers of witchcraft to begin psyching their minds up ahead of the coming into force of the law that criminalizes accusations of witchcraft, practice of witch finders and witch doctors. He said everyone has a constitutional right to their beliefs, but that should not endanger other people. When he engaged with stakeholders in the Nanuma South Municipality, he had this to say.
Held at the Regional Coordinating Directorate in the capital, Nalirgu, the meeting was attended by representatives from the Traditional Authority and some selected public institutions, among other participants. It was organized by the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice as part of its efforts to educate the local population about the new witchcraft bill passed by Parliament, a bill sponsored by Medina MP Francis Xavier Sosu and 5 of his colleagues seeks to protect elderly women accused of witchcraft, making it a crime to abuse them or send them away from their communities. The Commissioner of Siraj, Joseph Whittal, in his remarks explained to the participants the concept of the new bill, its purposes and sanctions for those who will fall foul. He described the witchcraft menace as dehumanizing and pleaded with the residents to reject all barbaric traditional cultural practices.
The law is clear. As soon as the law is passed, it is incumbent upon all of us to know how we speak, how we take advantage of poor elderly women, stigmatizing them, because it is only at that time it was always left with maybe the chiefs who are to determine that, the punishment. Now the state has taken control, and so even the chiefs themselves will have a problem if they do or they continue with any practice.
The bill, after several years of delays, was finally passed by Parliament on July 27th, pending the authorization of President Nana Akufo-Addo to make it a law. Meanwhile, whilst the President is yet to sign the bill, witchcraft-related attacks have continued across the region. The Commissioner said it was unacceptable the delay by the President to sign the bill, and that if he fails to do so by the end of this month, his title or recognition as a human rights defender ought to be redefined.
For me, if the President, who is a human rights defender, a rule of law advocate, delays more than 1 month in signing this bill, which has already delayed so long in passing, then we need to redefine whether he's actually a human rights defender. Because how long does it take to sign? It shouldn't. So the 1 month, because it was passed on the 27th July, today is 21st, we have 22nd, so we have 5 more days to a month. I would say that's unacceptable, given the problem that we are confronted with over the years.
During the discussion, some of the participants, particularly members of the traditional authorities, staged a pushback.
It will be very difficult for some West to erase the idea that witchcraft does not exist.
Now, the Ghana Immigration Service has set up a document fraud office in Kumasi to tackle the fraudulent acquisition of documents. The Immigration Service says the growing population of foreign nationals in the country has necessitated a thorough scrutiny of documents for authentication, including passports and birth certificates. Nana Boachi Dankwayadom has the rest of the story.
The Document Fraud Office, established through the collaboration of the governments of Ghana and Denmark, will serve as a back office for all document fraud identification matters in the Ashanti region. The establishment of the office will help fight against terrorism, money laundering, human smuggling and trafficking, drug trafficking, and other transnational crimes. Speaking at the commissioning of the office, Controller General of the Ghana Immigration Service, Kwame Nsuatechi, said the office will help combat the fraudulent acquisition of passport, visa, and other document-related crimes.
Combating fraud involves fraudulent acquisition of passport, visas, permits, and other document-related crimes. Requires an integrated approach. That is the whole of government, non-government, and societal approach. As Controller General of the Ghana Immigration Service, one of my concerns has been to support the rule of law. As the service is equipping itself with the technical tools available and sufficient capacity, there is also must be an integrated approach, especially between security agencies, non-security agencies, and individuals in the society.
Deputy Minister for Interior, Nana Kwansa, says the fraudulent acquisition of documents remains a challenge to the government. However, it remains committed to fighting fraud in diverse ways.
This project delivers on the government's commitment to fighting fraud in diverse ways at the local and international levels. Fraudulent activities is one of the major challenges confronting institutions all over the world. This is a huge worry for the government.
Now, he's a lawyer and holds one of the most important ministerial portfolios in the country, but Christia Mwakwata is never shy about expressing his anger when the road is deliberately destroyed. Yesterday, he took on some staff at the roads ministry, describing him as thieves and corrupt, but it wasn't the first time he's been doing this. We catalog some of his rants for you.
The contractor, all those working here must be arrested immediately. It doesn't make sense. Look at this. Look at this. And you destroy the road. Destroy the road. The public road. In which country can this be allowed? In which country can this be allowed? In your own country, can anybody do this? It's madness. It's madness. Look. They have elected blocks. They have done block work. No, in the middle of the road. What kind of nonsense is this? There is no big man in this country. The big man in this country is the one who gives the law, who obeys the law. Then you are a big man. No matter who you are, what political power do you have? What economic power do you have? What traditional power do you have? And I've said that even the president of the republic will not do such, and I won't allow this nonsense to go on in our country. This nonsense being perpetrated by a foreigner. Those who do not know what is happening here should keep quiet. Those who do not know what is happening here should keep quiet. Okay? There are a lot of corrupt people. There are a lot of thieves in my own ministry. You sack them, you employ new ones, and when they come, the new ones are even worse than those that you sack.
And that's how we wrap up today's edition of Joy News Prime. Remember to brush your teeth before you go to bed this evening, and do so tomorrow morning when you wake up from bed with either Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, Pepsodent Charcoal, Pepsodent Herbal, or Pepsodent Triple Protection, because with Pepsodent, every smile matters. Remember, we have Election Eve with the two heads, Winston Amwa and Evans Mensah. We are building up to the Super Delegates Conference happening tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. Do stay with us.